So to break something down real quick for people that probably don't know, obviously Hormesis is the coolest thing in paintball right now. Obviously, it's from Dynasty, so I would definitely see that being a huge success, and there's no doubt, and it's evident why. But is that something that's you and Dynasty? Is that just you and Oliver? Is that Oliver still trying to be a part of paintball? Is he trying to make a comeback? Give us the breakdown on that.
Yeah, so it's basically an art project that Oliver and I started in the middle of actually just over a year ago was the kind of the genesis of it. And he called me from Bali, and I hadn't really talked to him for about 3 years. And he said, "Hey, let's make headbands." And I said, "Nah, it's a stupid idea." And just to connect with him again, I said, "Yeah, let's give it a try." So we kind of wanted to have it mean something, because a headband is really the one part of your setup that you can use as an individual, that gives you your individuality. And also, it's the thing that you wear, that you bring around with you, that has your mojo. Like I've got all these old headbands that were my like go-tos when I was a kid, right? And I would be like, okay, this is my headband. I played well in this one, so I'm gonna keep riding it. And it kind of has that type of special characteristic that not a lot of other gear has. So we wanted to treat it that way. If it's going to be a special thing to you, we want you to treat it as a special item. So a lot of it has to do with us paying respects and giving back to the people who inspired us and did so much for the paintball world.
Now, are you guys planning on sponsoring teams and players in the league with this new brand?
We're not really planning on sponsoring people like officially, because it's not like we give headbands to people when we make a signature line. We just give them a whole bunch of headbands, and that's kind of like an unofficial sponsorship. But we don't want to basically require anyone to do anything. We're just like, here's the headbands. You do what you want. Wear it, sell it, have fun with it. And it's kind of like an unofficial deal. We're not asking people to go out and represent us in some way that they don't want to.
Makes sense. Organic, authentic, true to the player, just like you guys. Now, Dynasty has seen multiple levels of new teams and players over the years, but you guys have always figured out a way how to stay consistently at the top, no matter how much slander is done on Facebook and the internet. What do you think the strongest Dynasty team is you've seen over the last 20 years? And now going into 2022 as world champs, do you see it being even better?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of great teams over the years. We've had our ups and downs, a lot of great players, a lot of great personalities. Sometimes, we don't have the right combo, and sometimes we do. And it takes time. Like the group of guys we have now that just won these 2 years had been together for quite a while. So,
do you think this is the strongest Dynasty you've ever seen?
No, definitely not. I mean, in my opinion, the strongest Dynasty was probably, I think, 2004 when Yosh came back. So we had all of Todd, Yosh, BC, Angel. If you had that team in this era, I feel like, those players would have, the skills, the standard skill set of the guys now, and it would just, I don't know, I think we'd be dominating still.
Our Dynasty team is the strongest Dynasty team ever.
God, I mean, yeah.
I do too. As a kid growing up, obviously with you guys, I think the original Dynasty squad was just the nastiest ever. Like, you guys were just steamrolling teams. You guys had a cool swag to you. I mean, you guys were the young kids on the block, but every older generation pro team had to show you guys respect. You guys couldn't be stopped. It was kind of cool to watch.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the strongest team, 2004.
Now, seeing all these, this goes into players now, and this is why we like you, because you've always been one of the most level-headed pro players, and obviously you're one of the GOATs, top 10 of all time. Seeing all the different levels of snake players and Dorito players, how we classify them, and back players and tournament players, I'm going to run through some positions, and I want you to tell me who you think the best was ever. So sometimes it gets uncomfortable, but I think you could pull it off.
Go ahead.
The snake player ever of all time.
Oh God, it's either Angel or Mouse.
That's I think most people would say the same. The best insert player of all time, someone that can kind of play the whole field, as we would call a traditional insert player today.
I mean, I don't want to be biased, but it's Ryan.
Greenspan.
Yeah.
Over Oliver?
Yeah, Oliver is not. I don't think Oliver is a true. He's a good insert player, but he doesn't have the brain that Ryan does.
Now, the best coach of all time.
God, Bob Long.
Wow. What makes you say that?
Bob Long took, kids from like the local high school and made them into pro paintball players. Like, his team fell apart multiple times, and he picked up the pieces with guys that were, considered not good and made a winning team. So I think he kind of wrote the book on how to, use guys to their strengths and let them play.
And Field One actually bought Bob Long, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So are you guys still moving forward heavily with the Field One gun and a whole new lineup?
Yeah, so we're working. I mean, we're a small company. It's just me, Eric, Yosh, and Ryan, basically, and we have a few engineers and designers that work with us closely. But really, we're just we want to make sure that our product works, and we're designing something that we want to use. So that's our thrust, and have really good customer service. So
and obviously, you guys are winning, so the product works well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid product. I mean, I haven't greased my gun since Chicago. It's extremely reliable.
Is Bob or Zach Long still involved at all?
No, they're not involved. I mean, we talk to those guys periodically, but they're not involved in any really meaningful way.
Got it. Now, seeing all the different transitions of paintball over the years, from the Mike Hinman camps, the Bob Long camps, Lasoya and his day, and the glory days of Woodsball. A lot of people on Facebook always like to say, oh my God, the glory days. Oh my God, Woodsball players would have destroyed these guys. Oh my God, paintball has gone backwards, or paintball is bigger than it's ever been. In your opinion, you've seen the best tournament paintball scene the world has ever seen the last 20 years. What would you say is the current best scene of all time?
The best time to be a paintball player?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it had to be Huntington Beach era, Super 7, that whole scene where every tournament wasn't only an awesome tournament, it was also a party. And, people would go, and it was exciting. I mean, maybe the level of play wasn't as consistent, and the reffing wasn't as good as it is now. But from an outside perspective, like if I was going to bring my family to an event, it would be one of those ones.
And do you feel like the party scene in paintball is still there, like it used to be when you would go to SC Village on the weekends? Where do you see paintball has gone in terms of the pro players and the attitude and the lifestyle of it?
Well, I mean, back then, there was kind of a shift going on, because, pre-2000, like, you go to a tournament and you'd go to the bar on like Saturday night before the tournament, and Ironman and Aftershock would like be in there shit-faced, like in the finals or the next day. And there was kind of a paradigm shift to where the players started taking it a whole lot more serious. And yeah, now it's, the pedigree of the top level player is much better. I mean, the guys take it really seriously with fitness and preparation and all that stuff, whereas back then that wasn't really a thing. However, if you did take some of those players and put them into the climate now at their age, like if you took a Mike Bruno and he got to go back to being 21, and then he got to play paintball in 2021, I mean, I think the guy would be a stellar player. It's just a different paradigm, at a different standard.
Now, would you say that today's pro paintball player, the average team, is obviously maybe a lot more well-rounded or better than it was when you first started? Or do you think that the pro paintball player, I don't want to say pedigree, but talent has gone backwards?
No, I think that right now, like semi-pro and pro level players, their skill sets are all very similar, and it's like a pro sport should be. There's way more good players now than there were then.
So do you think the league's harder now to win than it was when you guys were playing Russian Legion, best 2 out of 3 in finals and stuff like that in X-Ball?
I think overall, yeah, it's right now probably harder to win a tournament than it was then, at least for us.
Wow. And where do you see Dynasty going in 2022? New pickups? Any new leagues you're going to play? Are you guys going to start traveling abroad?
Our goal is at least my personal goal on the team is to keep having fun. Right now this is just gravy. This is a cherry on top for me. I'm coming to the end of my playing days, and I just enjoy being at a tournament.
Days when you just got MVP and won, and you're playing better than half the kids your age.
I'm coming up on 40. The old bones ain't what they used to be. But that's okay. I'm going to keep going until they drag me off in a stretcher. So, that's just my attitude, and I'm having a lot of fun being with the guys and having fun with the team. So I mean, I know we can go into a tournament and win. I don't expect to win, but I know we can if we play hard and have our shit together, and also you always have to have a few bounces go your way.
Yeah, it makes sense. rundown on how you guys picked up B Short again and where Marcelo and Blake Yarber fit in now as leaders on Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, we picked up Short just kind of as a last-minute replacement because Dalton hurt himself before World Cup, and we said, "Hey, Short, what are you doing this weekend?" And he's like, "I'm going to World Cup to coach this team." And we're like, "Hey, you want to play with us?" And actually, he didn't even play with us in 2 of the matches in the prelims because he was coaching the other team. And it was a no-pressure situation, and the guy's a top-level player, so you just say, "Hey, get in there and do your best." We're not going to ride you. We're not going to really don't have any expectations. Just get in there and handle. And that he was the same old B Short, which he would if he didn't play paintball for 5 years. I would count on him to get in there and get nasty. Do
you see Oliver coming back at all to play?
I mean, he's coming back in February to do this interview for the Iron Kids documentary. So
give us a little breakdown on that.
Probably be a sighting at some point. I don't know if he'll be on the field, but I don't think he'll be able to resist it. I mean, he saw me and Ryan get MVP, Golden Barrel. He's got to get one now. He can't.
So
he can't.
Coming back next year.
I don't know. I know that he lives in Bali, so if he does come back, it'll probably be temporary, and I don't know if it's gonna.
What do you have going on with this Iron Kids documentary?
So as part of the Hormesis thing, we raised a bunch of money to make a documentary kind of about the beginning of our paintball career. And we got a good team of guys doing it, and part of that's going to be, interviews with the characters in the movie, and our parents and people that played a role at that time in our lives and in our paintball career. So, it's kind of a fun art project that we're doing together, and we're lucky enough to have the community behind us buying these headbands, so we can do more fun stuff like.
Wow, would you say that the Iron Kids was the funnest time in your paintball career?
I mean, it was a strange time in my paintball career because I was, 16. So I didn't even know what the hell was going on in my life, let alone in my paintball career. So yeah, it was an adventure, right? Like, basically, like, think about, going out as a 15, 16-year-old to Southern California on like a weekend when you're supposed to, be hanging out with your high school friends at a football game, but you're down, going to a nightclub with Sonny Lopez. Like, it's just like a whole nother universe, So yeah,
I remember it. I lived it with you guys a little bit.
I know, man. I love. I remember your little face pinching your cheeks.
I was a child, but it was the best memories of my life playing with you guys every weekend at SC and kind of enjoying and watching the whole scene. I feel like at any moment you would go to that park and just see the best of the best players, the best of the best teams, hundreds of people hanging out, having fun. It's kind of a different mentality than it is today.
Well, it kind of set the standard for this like mecca of paintball, like a paintball infrastructure. And you'd go to SC Village, and people would come from all over the country to go practice there. And shout out to your dad and Dennis, and you guys were all a part of that and creating that thing that now so many paintball fields have modeled after. And not only that, it really had a lot to do with the standard of play. Really skyrocketing because it had the venue for guys like us to go and really push the limits of what was possible in the game. And I can't thank Gio enough. And he's a legend of the game. That's why we honored him with the headband. He's not a legend. He's a pioneer. He's a pioneer. So he was able to have the foresight to do something that hadn't been done yet.
Yeah, I remember when everybody was still playing in the woods. You guys were the only team practicing on Hyperball, having the time of your lives, and I feel like you guys got a huge head start because you guys were just so skilled at the game before anybody else could even figure it out.
I agree. Yeah, no, and the venue was there for us to do that, and we'd drive from San Diego to Corona every weekend, both days, and and go out there and rip it.
So what do you think is going to go on with the pro paintball scene? Where do you see it going? The lifestyle, the attitude. People talk about pro paintball players used to being rock stars like Rocky Cagnoni and Chris Lasoya and the Angel booth and these crazy things. And we've gone away from that, but now we have extreme athletes, extreme coaches, huge infrastructure, great programs. Where do you see the dynamic of pro paintball going in 2022 and beyond?
I kind of see it steadily growing. Like, I mean, the infrastructure of the tournaments is great. I mean, World Cup last year, I think, was the biggest tournament ever held. There was like almost 600 teams. So, I mean, it seems like people are having fun playing paintball. But really, when you go to the tournament, it doesn't have that like party, good time environment for the most part. I mean, maybe World Cup does, but for the most part, you go and you play paintball and then you go back to your hotel and you chill. It's not really an event. to bring someone from the outside too, which I'm cool with. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. We'll embrace what we have, and Tom has done a great job along with Jason Trojan. I mean, the reffing is better than it's ever been. The webcast is really cool to watch. They're doing their best to do some storytelling and also do like a sports broadcast where it's kind of like a
Yeah.
football or football game. And yeah, I'm definitely not mad at it. I feel like they have what they're doing down, and it's consistent.
What pro teams do you think in 2022 are going to get relegated, and which pro teams do you think are going to do a lot better than people think?
God, I don't know. You gotta say like the new Saints team. Who knows though? I mean, they could put one. All you have to do is put one good tournament together. I don't know who's gonna get relegated. I mean, you know who all the top dogs are going to be. Us.
Who do you think the best 4 teams are in paintball right now?
Impact, Heat, Dynasty, and you got to say X Factor because they put up 2 second places and a World Cup second place last year.
And what do you think about teams like, Infamous and all these guys that still have huge vets on their team, but maybe can't pull it together to get the first place wins?
Yeah, I mean, I love Infamous. I mean, the Callie and Thomas Taylor, and yeah, they're missing one piece. That's all they need, They should have got Archie, but we got him. That would have really been good for their team. Yeah. They just need one guy like that. And then I think
that what you think that most of these pro teams need is a missing piece, a link, a coach? Is it one step, or do you just think that differential between those top 4 teams and the rest of the pack is always going to be there?
What most pro teams need is to stick together and believe in each other and lose together. You got to lose together a lot before you can win. Even if, you pick up one guy, it's a new team. Like right now, we just picked up Archie and this new guy, Damien, and we have basically a new team. So now we need to learn and grow together and figure out if the pieces fit together. So, I think that's the secret sauce is time and willingness to fail.
And why is that? You think it just builds better camaraderie? They learn how to play together. Like I've obviously played multiple tournaments on winning teams and losing teams. The losing teams tend to break up a lot easier in paintball than probably most other sports. And the winning teams just get picked apart by the higher end teams. So where do you see that?
Yeah. I mean, if you have, what I've learned is, and this is a good analogy, like when American guys would go over to Europe and guest on a team over there, the European guys would take some guy that they've been practicing with for 10 years and put him on the bench for this American guy that came in, right? And the American might be a better player, but, will he play better with the team? It's a tough question, Yeah. I think that, throwing a superstar into the mix isn't necessarily the best thing, but in some cases you still need a superstar for your team, right? Yeah. So if you don't have a guy that's going to go out and get you 2 kills when you need it, like Archie, then you got to get that guy and make him part of your team. So, yeah I think
these core being you and Greenspan and Yosh and the same guys people have seen forever. Do you think that's the reason why Dynasty for 20 years is the most winningest team in paintball history and probably the best team ever to play the game and will ever be?
I think it's part of it. I mean, we know how to teach people. I mean, we're okay players ourselves, but we know how to teach people how to play, right? So like a guy like Mike Urena, who's raw, maybe, a little around the edges, has the aggression, but doesn't have the balance yet. So, we can take a guy like that and make him into an elite player, and then he can go play for Impact or Heat for a lot of money, which is fine. But, there's guys that have been through our program that we really, I personally pride myself in helping make them complete players.
Who do you think the best player is that Dynasty's ever taken and turned into a pro paintball player?
Man,
I have my own personal list.
Mouse. I mean, I don't know if I can really like accredit ourselves with like making Mouse because he played under Mike and Aftermath, and he did have some really productive years under our team. Dalton. Even Archie, Chad George, Tyler Harmon. I mean, certain guys, really I feel like blossomed in our camp.
And why is it that players, even though they come to the GOAT of all teams, Dynasty, they learn how to play, they get good, they win some events, they probably were already good before they came, to give them credit, end up going to play for these other pro teams and not stay with you guys? consistently win?
Cash money. I mean, we're kind of a self-funded deal, and we're not paying guys, tens of thousands of dollars to play, and we try to keep it equal too. Like, it's not like, we're making a whole bunch more money than anybody else on the team. It's sort of like, we want to keep it sustainable and fair, and that has, like Marcelo and Blake have been on the team for that long that we're like, okay, let's make these guys partners in the team. That's how the team started, and we want to keep that, kind of that model going.
Now, before we go, is there any deep secrets on how Dynasty structures their paintball practices in terms of dealing with teams, dealing with each other, drills, things that people don't know that you see Dynasty still do?
I mean, yeah, it's just fundamentals, one-on-ones and two-on-twos, and get your skills and communication going in gel with your teammates. And you've got to learn how to give criticism and receive criticism without getting personally offended, right? Like, I know Ryan can talk as much shit to me as he wants on the field and me to him, but at the end of the day, we're going to go home and have pizza together, and it's all good. So
yeah,
you've got to learn how to manage personalities and understand that the creative differences on the paintball field aren't a personal issue. I feel like that's another thing in team dynamics that you have to kind of check your ego at the door.
And then last question, growing up playing paintball, Iron Kids days, SC Village days, as a kid, up obviously becoming the most dominant paintball player of all time, who are some of the players you looked up to as you were playing, coming up in the game?
Man, I mean, guys I look up to were just the guys I was around that were cool to me. Catfish, Sonny Lopez, those guys were always awesome. Rodney, the players I looked up to, I mean, there was a lot of great players. Mike Bruno.
Any player that you styled after, looked after, took moves from?
Probably Bruno, because he was just gritty, always kind of at the right place at the right time. Not afraid to make moves, not afraid to get shot. Willing to do like the dirty job for the team. Like he'll go to the bunker that nobody else wants to, and get in there and get nasty. Yeah, so probably his style of play just always kind of stuck out to me, and I wanted to be that guy, that like annoying player on the field that you just can't shoot and he's just bothering you.
The Dennis Rodman of paintball, dude. Just getting in there and making a mess.
Kind of like that, yeah.
I like it. Anything last that anybody should know about Field One or Hormesis coming into the new year? Any new products? Any releases?
Yeah, we're gonna do a drop on New Year's Eve. If you haven't heard it yet, we're gonna release some headbands then, and then bright future. We got a lot of cool projects coming into 2022, and Field One as well. We're gonna keep making forces and improving them and using them. So
huge.
We're stoked just to be out there. I mean, having fun and still doing it at our age is a blessing. So we're gonna keep ripping it, and stoked to see all you guys out there.
Huge. Thank you, Alex.
Love you, Bear.